Hello again, welcome to video 4, which we are going to learn about the functions in MySQL. I'm already in the block and then we go to the lab form. You can see here we have a retrieve distinct, we are going to use order, we are going to use average functions, maximum and minimum. I already opened up the shell, XAMPP shell command line, and then I'm gonna use show databases. Let's go ahead and use tmf2034db, the database that we are working on it, and then when we say show tables, these are the tables that we have, and then when we say select all from students, and we already have few students in our tables, and then let's go ahead and we have 16, 19, 18, 20. All right, the first topic, the objective is, you can see here we have a distinct column. What is the distinct? We already know that when you write select all, it will show you that all the records that you have in your table, for example 2020, 1, 2, 3, we have 5 records, it will display all. But if you want to select only a specific column, for example the intake here, and it will just show you all every distinct year, that every intake year that you have in your table. If you want to have multiple columns, then you have to write them one by one, or if you want, you can just select all. And now here we have something called it select distinct. Distinct value, what distinct value is doing is just showing you the distinct value of the specific column that you choose. For example, in this table you can see we have 2016, 18, 18 and 2012. Then if you want to select the distinct value of that table, for example of the intake year, you can just select the distinct and then the column name, what are the columns that you want, and then from which table. You can see here we have 2 records with the year of 2018, and then when you use the distinct, it will just show you the distinct only one 2018, because we do not have a duplicate. In our table currently we have 20, 18 and 19, and then when I say select distinct, currently it will just show me the same records, the same thing, because we do not have a distinct. Now we can create, let me add a record to our table. I'm just gonna say select all from students. Let's add a record again with the 2022, another record, and then we will see how the distincts work. Let me open up the SQL file that we have. We can go to the table students, and then I'm just gonna copy something like another record, and then record number 6, and then we can just change the name, let's say Anita, and then anita@gmail.com, and then the year 2022. I'm just gonna insert this to the table, and then you can see here it is affected, and when it says select all from students, we have 2 records, 2022 and 2022. Now when we use a select distinct intake year from students, you can see here we only have 2020, 21 and so on. You can just say, for example, the intake year, and then you can also say the student email from students. You can see here we have 2022, and then why it is not showing, because as you can see here the 2020 is showing 2 times, because the Ahmad and Anita, they are 2 different records. Anyways, the distinct value is showing you the distinct value between the, if you have multiple, like for example 10, 20, 22, it will show you one of them and as a distinct value. Then the next topic we have, which is about the sorting. How does the sorting work? The sorting that you know, we have a ascending order and descending order in everything. We have ascending order and descending order. And then when you want to select a table, and then you can use, for example, the which columns, you can use select all and from table, and then order it based on the which column that you want, based on ascending or descending. For example, in this you can see they select from all the students and then they ordered by their student name in the ascending order, and then this one it is descending order. In our example we can go ahead and say select all from students. Now these are all the students, and then you can order them and select all from students, and then you can say order by, let's say, student name, and then you can say ascending order. And then when you do that one, you can see here Ahmad is the first record, Anita is number 6. But now when you order by the name, what will happen? Ahmad becomes the first, Anita second, and then we have Gary, we have Haziq, Joe, and Mori. So they become like a ascending order based on this one. And then if you want to use it as a descending order, you can just say descending. You can see Mari becomes the first, and Joe and Haziq, Gary, and so on. You can also use it for the email. You can use it for orders. You can, for example, now it's ordered by, let's say, student ID and descending order. You can see here 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And this is about the order by. If you want to order records and is it ascending order or descending, then you can use the order by. The next topic is retrieve and update from multiple conditions. And then we have and or. The and or you all know, like for example, when you are using to and, it means that the two sides of the condition should be right. And then when you use the or, for example, you say okay, or this or that. I'm going to the W3 school, just give you as an example. You can see here the and or operator. The and operator displays the record if all conditions are true. For example, you have two conditions, both of them has to be true, and then the or operator is used if one of them is true, it will work. Now let's go to our example. Now we have, let's say, select all from students, and then we have all the students. We say select all from students where the intake year equals to 2022, and we can say a second condition, and then the student name equals to, let's say, Joey. You can see here when I run this query, unknown column Joey, where the student name equals to, you can say Joey, and then we have an empty set because this is a string. We have an empty set. Why? Because when we are using and, it means both sides of the condition need to be true. It means the intake year should be 2022, and then the name should be Joey. And then now when we check which students with the year of 2022, we have a student number 6, Anita, and then number 1, Ahmad. But their name is not Joey, so that's why we have the empty set. Now when we say Ahmad, you can see we got Ahmad as an example. It means you just want these two conditions must be true, both sides of them must be true. But when we are using the or, now for example, when we say or instead of and, you can say select all from students where the intake year is 2022, or let's say a student name equals to, for example, now we say Joey. Right now what happens? We got 3 records. When you are using or, the or, it means like as long as there is one side of the condition is true. You can see here it displays a record if any of the conditions separated by or is true. It means now it will check both sides. The left side is said intake year is 2022. So who are the students that their intake year is 2022? We can check is Ahmad, and then the second one Anita. Then the student name equals to Joe. It will show you all the students they have a name of Joe. So the difference is when you are using and, it means both sides, left side and the right side, need to be correct and need to have a record. It doesn't matter if you have a student with the 2022 year, but this side of the condition, the right side, also needs to be true. But when you're using OR, the OR, it says like, okay, as long as one side is true, I will show you the records. And then now we have 2022, so it will show us, and then the name is Joey, is also show us the records. And then we also have a not condition. You can see here there is, okay, it's not here, this one is explaining about the and or. Then here we have excluding some data using the filtering, and then we have a where not condition. Where not condition is used when you do not want, for example here, where the condition is not 2018. You can read here the not operator record if the condition is not true. And then now, for example, in our example, we say select all from students. We say all the students, and then you want to write the condition, select all from students, where the intake year is not, where not intake year equals to 2022. Then what will happen? It will exclude all the records that they have an intake year of 2022. That's why we have 6. Now we have 4 records. It means the first one is Ahmad, which has been removed, is not here, and then Anita also. You can also, for example, you can exclude all the records with the 2018. You can see here the 18 is excluded. You can exclude the records by using the where not. Then after that we have the functions in SQL. You can see here as the name stands, it is the count. Let me go ahead, and then here if we find the count, I guess it is somewhere, the functions, minimum, maximum, count, average, the count, average, and sum. The count syntax, it will function return the average value of numeric. For example, here in this example, it will count like how many records do you have. We say like 1 2 3 4. It will count the records, and it will show you the result that you have a records count all. And then here you can see, you can select the column name, or you can select all. And then for us, we can go ahead, and then they said we have already 6 records. We can say select count, and then we say all from students. You can see here we have total of 6 records in the table. You can also use, for example, the intake year. Still we got 6 records. So because all the records, you can see here they all have record information and data in it, so it will like say 6 records in every table. And then like for example, you can say select all from students. You can also use it for lecturer. You can see here we have 5 lecturers. When you say select all from lecturer, you can see here we have 5 lecturers. This is about the count. It will just return you the count of the, it will calculate, it will count the number, the records, and it will give you the result. The sum, and then as the name stands, is just like give you the sum of the records. There is something in here you have to make sure. If you are attempting to use, for example, I'm gonna say describe table students. Now here the student, and then after that I'm gonna say select all from students. You can see here the student ID is an integer, so you can calculate the sum of the like ID 1 2 3 4 5 6, and then but you cannot do the student name because the student name is a varchar. A student email is also a varchar. This is work for the numeric data types. As you can see here, when you are using it for the student email, you get the result. And then now for us, we are going to say select the sum of, let's say student ID, and then from students, what will happen? It will give you the sum of the student ID. But if you use it for the name, student name, let's say student name, select sum for student name from a student, you can see we got the 0, because you can see here they're all varchar, they're all characters, the data types are the characters. And then even if you use for the email, you will get the 0. But if you use it for the intake here, let's say intake year, and then it will give you the sum of the intake year in here, because the intake year, they're all numeric, they're integer, so it will give you the result. But if you use it for other than the numeric values, then it will happen, it will give you 0 in the result. Then the same thing for the average. The average, it will return the average of the records, and then you have to make sure again that you are not going to use it for the email. For example, now I'm gonna say select average, select average from, let's say, student ID and from students, table students, and then the average is 3.5. And then when you say select all from students, you can see the average of this, it will be around like 3.5. And then if you use it for select the average, let me type it, select the average for intake year from students, and then this is the average is 2019. But let's say if you use the average for student email, you can see here we got the 0 because they are all characters. But in here it is showing that they changed the student email to 12, and then they got the result of 3, because 12 divided by 4, and then we got 3. But it's not necessary, as long as you know like what is the average function is doing, then it will return you the average of the columns. Then after that we have a minimum and maximum. The minimum maximum, it will give you the minimum value, and then the maximum value, it will give you the maximum value. For example, in this table, the minimum value is 2012, and then here the maximum value is let's say maximum of a student ID is the maximum. This is the maximum ID. Now in our table, let's say select all from students. We have these students, this is our records. We say select minimum of intake year, the column name, from students. You can see the minimum, it is 2016. But when you use the maximum, automatically it will return you the maximum value 2022, which is 2022. You can use it for the student ID. It will give you number 6. And then now if you use it for student email, what will happen? We got mary@gmail.com. You can check here based on alphabetic. Mary has M, and then is the maximum, and then when you use it for minimum, you should get Ahmed. You see ahmed@gmail.com, because it will follow the alphabetical order. Ahmed become first and Mary become the last. And this is about the maximum and minimum. And then you can also write the condition if you would like, the specific condition. And yeah, that's all for today's video. Thank you for your time, and thank you for watching.